Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates.
At the climate summit in Glasgow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, in his national statement, put forth a 5-point climate agenda for India. The goals have been set. For 2030, India will increase non-fossil fuel energy to 500 gigawatts. This would also mean that 50% of India's energy requirements are met by renewable sources. Again, in terms of carbon, India has promised to bring down carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030. This would also reduce the carbon intensity by 45%. And the most important of all, India has finally set a net zero target, and this is 2070. Perhaps 2 decades after what the Western world has set their goals for, but a target that is realistic for India. India is still on the upward curve of the industrialization process, way behind the developed world, which is almost towards the end of it, and also behind China. China has set its net zero emissions to 2060. 2070 although seems like several decades after the world target, is a very realistic goal for India. And with this, the Prime Minister has set out a plan that could be achievable.
As I mentioned, the statement of the Prime Minister today was very significant, reiterates once again the commitment India has set towards combating climate change. It is imperative now that the developed world steps up and does its part. The Prime Minister has always stated that climate change for him is an article of faith, that India had always been more than fulfilling its own commitments in terms of climate change. Today, the Prime Minister not only spoke about the different steps that India has taken, but also made further contributions to our, I would say, overall approach towards the issue of climate change.
So you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi's national statement. What are the first reactions of United States to that statement?
Well, you know what, I'll say, अगर आपने जॉन कैरी का कहना सुना है, बल्कि उन्होंने शायद ट्विटर पर भी यही कहा है कि हम बहुत खुशी से ये एम्बिशियस टारगेट्स को देख रहे हैं फ्रॉम इंडिया. एंड आई हैव टू से कि इंडिया के बगैर हमारे पास कोई चांस नहीं है अपने ग्लोबल टारगेट सबमिशन और पेरिस एग्रीमेंट की 1.5C का जो टारगेट है वो इंडिया के बगैर नहीं हो सकता. तो बहुत खुशी से देख रहे हैं. एंड इसीलिए वी हैव सच अ क्लोज पार्टनरशिप विद इंडिया precisely for this reason.
And if you look at it in real terms, the Prime Minister also said that Indian railways that transport the number of people annually, which is equal to or more than the population of the entire world, that Indian railway, the largest employer in the world, promises to meet net zero targets by 2030. That's a decade before the developing world. So that is fantastic news, isn't it?
Yes, and you know, I think this is a perfect example कि जैसे राष्ट्रपति बाइडेन ने कहा है अपनी स्पीच में और जॉन कैरी ने भी कहा है बार बार कि ये सिर्फ एक क्लाइमेट टारगेट का मौका नहीं है. इट्स नॉट जस्ट दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी, बल्कि ये एक इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटी भी है. क्यों? क्योंकि आई थिंक हर एक समझ सकता है कि इफ़ यू हैव चीप क्लीन एनर्जी वो आपके ही फ़ायदा में है. Or if your rail network is reliable and electric, ये सबके फ़ायदा में है. तो हम समझते हैं कि यही रास्ता है फ्यूचर में कि हम मिलकर काम करें अपने ही सिटीजन्स के लिए, अपने इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटी के लिए, और साथ साथ आपका हवा भी क्लीन हो रहा है, आपका पानी भी क्लीन हो रहा है. तो ये सिर्फ फ़ायदा ही फ़ायदा.
Absolutely, and the Prime Minister has said that by 2030, India hopes to meet its energy requirements, at least 50% of that through renewable sources, and that is huge.
It is, and you know, I don't think it can be understated. और इसका अगर आप इफेक्ट देखें उम्मीद तो यही है कि if you have a massive solar panel production ability in India, ये फिर पूरी विश्व के फ़ायदा में है, सिर्फ इंडिया के नहीं। और हाँ 50% अब आपके एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन अगर रिन्यूएबल है, ये सिर्फ कार्बन एमिशंस का ना आप देखें, ये भी देखें कि इट्स एन इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटी। आपके बिजली जो है वो मुफ्त है, राइट? वंस यू सेट अप द सोलर पैनल्स, रिन्यूएबल सोर्सेज, आपको कोयला और तेल का खरीदने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है। तो it's good.
At the COP summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the world a new mantra, a new movement called LIFE, Lifestyle for Environment. This is where the Prime Minister said that the onus is on each and every individual of the world. The point is to make the choices that use sustainable material, that are environmental friendly, and that help save the world from plastics, from fossil fuels, and help bring down the climate change and perhaps prevent a climate catastrophe. So John, this sounds like a fascinating debate, how fossil fuels are the backbone of fast fashion. And you're here at COP26. What is the message that you want to convey?
So the message is that actually what's happening in the fashion industry is they're using more and more plastic because it's cheaper. And if you look at lots of the clothing you're wearing, it's got that stretch, which is lovely. All that athleisure wear that you like to wear for the gym and stuff, almost all of that is plastic, and it's very cheap. And that plastic is made out of fossil fuels, and that is contributing to climate change. So we want to highlight how all these fashion brands around the world are using this plastic that is contributing to climate change. And quite often it's cheap material, so it's sold cheaply, so we only wear it a few times, and then it gets thrown away. But where does it go when it gets thrown away? Often it gets sent to the developing world, places like India that can't deal with that properly. They don't have the means to sort it, and often it's burnt. And you get places in India, Indonesia, Africa, where it's actually toxins from this plastic are going into the air. It's poisoning people, it's poisoning the rivers, and we want that to end. So what we are asking of all these fashion brands is that they first admit how much plastic they're using, and then they start to reduce that plastic and move to more natural materials. Yes, they will cost more, but we should wear them for longer, and we shouldn't be looking at fast fashion, looking to buy a new item every week for different things.
So is this problem primarily of consumers in the developed world and fashion brands that are luxury brands, or is this a problem that has percolated down to even smaller companies that are in the fast fashion industry?
It's even more cheaper companies actually, because it is a cheaper item. So once you get up to the luxury market, it's easier to use natural fibers that are more expensive, like leather. But actually, we're seeing some of the cheapest brands like H&M, Boohoo, ones that you can just go online for a few pounds. You can buy a nice item, but those items don't last. They are cheaply made, and they go into the bin after a very short time, and then they end up in landfill.
And a lot of these companies have the manufacturing units in the developing world.
They do, yeah. So there's also those problems there. But we've got to show this link to the oil industry is looking for new ways to get rid of its product. It knows that people are moving away from fossil fuel cars driven by petrol, and they're looking at ways of getting rid of their material, and they're putting it into the clothing that we're wearing. So if you look at the label and it says polyester or elastazine, all those things are different types of fossil fuel.
Right. And there's been this problem of wages in the developing world, people who are involved in the fashion industry for many, many years.
Yeah.
Would this affect that industry? Because again, if you can no longer sell cheaper products, then many people might lose jobs. Or are you asking this to be like a top-down approach where the CEOs incorporate sustainable clothing within their own brand and their own vision?
Yeah, we think that the fashion industry is pushing this idea that you constantly have to buy new clothes all the time for a new season, and that means that you buy more but cheaper. And actually, lots of people, if you look in your own wardrobe, you've probably got enough clothes to last you for 10 years for most people. This isn't an issue if we don't have enough clothing in the world. So what we're saying is, let's buy better clothes. That yes, they are more expensive, but it wouldn't mean less jobs down the line. Those people on those wages, they should still be paid at a high level, but we should be making better clothes out of better quality, and we should be wearing them for longer.
So what is this one thing that you would like the leaders who are talking right here, right now, to do about this issue?
Well, the first thing that we've been doing today is we've written to the CEOs of all the biggest fashion clothing brands around the world, including in India, saying to them, you need to come clean on the amount of plastic in there. We're asking them to voluntarily come down, but we think that the world leaders also need to put the pressure on as well, and need to see that, and potentially those world leaders need to put things in place saying that the amount of plastic in clothing needs to come down. At the moment, it's 60% of all clothing is plastic. We'd like to see that reduced right down to 10, 20%, and that comes from policy from world leaders.
This is back to this issue that a lot of countries in the developing world do want to move to a green economy, but the struggles are financial, the struggles are of technical know-how, and this is again something that the Prime Minister has been proposing quite strongly. The fund, now he's proposed $1 trillion within this fund that he hopes the developed world contributes to. We know they did not meet the target of 100 billion that was set up, but the developing world does need finance and technical expertise percolating down to them to help them make this transition. What is it that the US could do, and how could US and India take this forward?
Finance is a critical piece. कल ही शायद यहीं पे in COP26 finance ministers will meet and वो बहुत ही डिटेल में जाएंगे कि हम इसका हल कैसे ढूंढ सकते हैं. तो बिल्कुल आप ठीक कह रहे हैं, but I think the key here is to say आप अपने ambitions को बढ़ाएं, आप अपने targets को बढ़ाएं, और हाँ G7 G20 जो है वो हम मिलकर काम करेंगे खासतौर पर finance पर, so that we can meet these targets.
One of the points Prime Minister made was that a lot of commitments are made at summits of the Paris and Glasgow region, and these commitments are not seen through. They're like routine announcements that countries make, but won't monitor them carefully, don't follow through carefully, and probably don't have any. In certain cases, probably don't even have the means to see them through. What he did suggest was that while there was a lot of pressure on greater action, climate action, there should be equal pressure on commitments that relate to climate financing. So while developing countries, on behalf of which India has spoken at the G20 and to a large extent even at COP26, were obviously interested in achieving certain climate-related targets, at the same time they needed the means to deliver on those commitments, and therefore there should be tangible timelines, tangible monitoring of those timelines, and some sense of let's say, making sure that commitments in terms of financing were equally looked at and monitored as those relating to climate.
The fissures between the developed world and the developing world came into the fore in several of the debates that are taking place here at SEC in Glasgow, where world leaders are deliberating over what could be the correct pathway to help save the world from climate crisis. One important point that has been proposed by the Prime Minister is a collective fund of $1 trillion. This fund could be utilized by developing countries to bring in processes that are more climate friendly, to switch to a more green economy, and also to protect themselves and build back after the different catastrophes that might happen because of climate change. This way, the Prime Minister is holding on to the mantle of a leader for the developing world. And that is the position that India has rightly taken here at COP26, to advocate for changes, to advocate for more development of a green economy, not just for India, but for the wider global south. This is Ruhi Khan in Glasgow for Mojo Story.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.